And welcome to another edition of State Champs Hockey Time live. I'm Jonathon Kidd along with Sean Baligian. Sean, it's the regional finals.
Well, you know what? I tweeted this out earlier, Johnny. I love Badger Bob's comment. It's a great day for hockey. This is definitely a great day for hockey in the great state of Michigan. Regional finals all over the state. You know, we did have one yesterday. We'll get into that in a little bit. Now one tomorrow. But what a great day of action all over the state. Good luck to everybody out there. Certainly, if you're playing tonight, whatever the case may be, good luck to you indeed.
as the words of our good pal Casey Campbell, the voice of Brighton hockey, it's game day.
It is game day, no doubt about that, all over. And it's funny because, like, some of the guys that work with us, I know you're going to be out in Allen Park. Our buddy, the coach, Kirk Hunter, is going to be in Flint. Barbecue Mike's going to be out in Royal Oak.
We're going to have a trip in the UP. I have a guy up at the Houghton Hancock game.
Do you really?
Yeah, Dave Bodine.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
I love Bodine.
Catholic Central.
Yeah, it's Jimmy Young is kind of one of us as well. I know I'm going to be heading over to Livonia, but just a great day, certainly. And you know what's really cool is like the community out there, like all the people on Twitter and in the different social medias that having the conversations and sharing scores with people. It's a pretty cool place. There's no doubt about that.
And so State Champs Hockey Time Live, it's on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok as well. So a lot of people are watching the show right now.
Do we have Robbie cam? We need like one cam with just constantly Robbie.
Let's just cut to Robbie right now.
There it is, right there.
Look at
Rock
Robbie.
Did you look at our ratings just skyrocketed with the coveted 15 to 19-year-old
just
girl
lighting
thing.
up.
Look
Right,
at
yep,
that.
there you go.
Boy, is that kid handsome? Where's Watson and that beef jerky? By the way? But no, listen. This is fun. It's great to do that. To have this, John. I was skeptical, but I want to publicly say to you, great idea. This was all John Kidd's idea, and
You're welcome.
I'm along for the ride.
Well, we might be doing this more often, maybe next year.
Well, we'll talk to management about that. I'm not so sure about that. No, listen, this is great. Anytime we can talk about the greatest sport on earth, I'm incredibly biased, and what a great product it is at this level. Count me in.
All right, so State Champs Hockey Time is presented by our friends at the Alta Equipment Company. Great partners throughout the years.
They certainly have been. Appreciate everything they do. Appreciate all our partners. But I know the guys from Alta, they've been out to a lot of our broadcast locations and certainly have been there as cheerleaders as well. Not only supporters, but as cheerleaders, and we greatly appreciate that.
Before we get going, let's just talk quick about the first week of the playoffs, especially this past weekend. A lot of overtime games in those regional semifinals. So let's roll the tape. So, Sean, I gather about 4 to 5 of these overtime winners that either we got, TV stations, or fan submissions as well. So let's take a look. But still, great action over this past weekend.
Yeah, look at that. I know, Johnny, you were down at that game. What a tremendous win for Jason Reynolds and Coach Vento and everybody with the Stallions, the way they came together. How about Aiden Cook? I talked to Coach Perry about that one after the game. He said that was just a fantastic game, and he couldn't say enough positive things. Cameron Staskowski, boys, that kid is stud. Keep an eye on him.
Monday was his day. Monday was his day on that overtime winner.
Yeah, keep an eye on that kid. That's a name that you might be seeing. And not to be undone, how about that? The East Side Stars last year, they had their heart broken in a 38 overtime loss. And then, of course, this was a huge one, Forest Hills Central. Boy, what a heartbreaker, no doubt about that. But survive and advance is what it's all about. And the Rangers, a lot of people expect them to make a return engagement at USA Hockey Arena. Boy, that's a big survive and advance. The only thing that matters is notching that W.
All right, so on Saturday, you took in the game between Brighton and Ann Arbor Pioneer. Let's talk about Cam Duffney, our Player of the Year candidate. He scored not 1, not 2, but 7 goals.
He was phenomenal. I know the coach was there. And
Duffman.
Barbecue Mike was there. It was one of those things early on you knew.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that you knew.
And we're showing you all 7 right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Look at Al. Al does such a great job.
That iPad footage.
But listen, all jokes aside, I'm not saying that I knew that he was going to have 7 goals, okay?
Yeah.
But you knew from the first shift it was going to be a special night, and he is a special player. I've said this before. It has been a blast to watch that group come up together and get better each and every year. I shared this story, John, and for the benefit of our listeners, Lane Petit, who is phenomenal, one of the best players
it's
in the
Petit,
state.
not Pettit.
Petit looks at me, like his eyes got really big after the game. He looks at me and he goes, Duff. Like that, like seriously.
Yeah,
I mean,
Duff
like,
Man.
what do you even have to say?
Duff Man does a lot of things.
And that, you know what, I think that's a testament to the type of individual that Lane Petit is, that he's sitting there talking up his friend, his teammate, and acknowledging that and being a pretty special player at the same time. But yeah, he was on a different level. You know, sometimes, John, the term he was in the zone, he was feeling it. You know, there are different variations of that term. You could use all of them. He was just on a different level on Saturday.
All right, before we really get going here, let's bring back Rock and Rye Robbie. He's going to be controlling the comments section on the show. So say hello again to Robbie. You know, you got one bottle this week of Rock and Rye.
Only one. They're trying to wean me off. You know, it's kind of an addiction. Anyways, we got a couple already. So Patrick Julian says, "Hey, Sean and John, it's great to see you guys
coach.
as always."
The coach.
How are you, buddy?
Is he going to be coach today at Riverview Gabriel Short, or is he going to be the goalkeeper at Trenton?
It's a good question.
I'll let you know.
We'll
If
have to
he,
find that
I'll
out
let you
from
know if he answers.
Okay, but
that.
what did Patrick had to say?
He just said, "Hey, John," and he just said it's great to see you guys as always. We have a question though.
Oh.
Thomistic Soul. With the Port Huron Northern upset of Warren-De LaSalle last night in mind, what favorite tonight is most vulnerable to suffering the same fate?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, you know, I know that we plan to get into that later on.
Maybe we'll save that. Maybe. Do we
All right,
save
we'll
it?
save that.
Yeah, we'll save it.
We'll save that
it.
because I know we certainly want to give a lot of love to the Huskies. I'll just say this, Robbie, to that point. I'm not going to mention his name, but I know of one person who called me the other day and said, I think Port Huron's going to win that game. And I heard from that person last night, as fate would have it, but props to them. No doubt about it. That's a huge win for the Huskies.
All right, so let's go into our preview of the regional finals that are happening tonight. And we're going to start in Division 3, the big one up north, Hancock versus Houghton, and it's going to be at Houghton, at the D.
You know, this was already going to be a tough game for Hancock. I've said it all year. I really like this team. I think it's a great story. But
Well, it's not at the D. My bad. It's at McKenna Ice Arena.
But evidently, it sounds like Stuckel's going to be out tonight, and that's huge for them. I think depth, as we talked about in weeks gone by, I think depth has been something that Hancock has had to try to overcome. That is a huge loss. If he is indeed out tonight, that is a huge loss for them. But this is a team to keep an eye on with all those young players.
Yeah, it's going to be a big crowd tonight in the Upper Peninsula. You know, in our regional picks, we both pick Houghton to win this game.
I like Houghton all the way.
Is this one that if Hancock wins, you're not going to be shocked?
I think if the information that I received is correct and you're taking out one of their best players and they win, I think I would be stunned in that situation. I would be, but this Houghton team is really, really good. Hancock's going to have to play one heck of a 51-minute, and it sounds like shorthanded as well.
All right, the winner of that game will play Sault Ste. Marie and Marquette. Originally, this game was supposed to be tonight, but it got moved to tomorrow because there's snow in the UP. But I heard the weather is supposed to be in the 60s tomorrow, so that snow is going to melt. But what are your thoughts on this game between the Sioux and Marquette?
This is one I think we've talked about for a couple weeks. This could go either way. I think a lot of people have sat back and thought that Marquette and Houghton was just destiny. I'm not counting out the Blue Devils here at all, and I wasn't willing to say that until I saw them with my own two eyes. And having the opportunity to see them down in Trenton, I really like that team. I think they have a goaltender that could make a strong case for being on our Wall Award as well. And you know what happens with goaltenders this time of year? All you need is to have that guy go in that zone that we just talked about and put on a show. And the best laid intentions are out. I like the way that Coach Garrow has Marquette playing. I like that team a lot. Honest to goodness, John, I think this is a 50-50 game.
Yeah, and we've seen, like you said, we have seen Marquette a few times. You like Rippey, we like Moyer.
Love Moyer.
You know, so if it ends up being Marquette and Houghton on Saturday in the quarterfinals, oh, dandy.
Yeah, that should be fantastic. I mean, either one of them, honestly. I think Sioux as well. I don't want to like just dismiss Sioux, especially getting the goaltending they've been getting. This should be a dandy tonight.
Yeah.
This is like if we play the clone game, this should be one of the games that I would go like that, and I would make sure that I was at that game. Well, when they play tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
In Region 19, we stay in northern Michigan. The Bay Reps is taking on Petoskey.
Yeah, Bay Reps, we've talked so much about Bay Reps, rightfully so. They've been a top 15 team all year long. Lucas, Boynton Fisher and net. I'm intrigued at Petoskey. I have not seen them yet. I did some research. I made a few calls and talked about them. Badurka is a guy, 19 goals, 22 assists, 41 points. Anderson Ward had 18 goals. I'm going to be really intrigued to see what this team brings to the table. This is a huge stage for this team. Boy, could they make a statement here tonight against the prohibitive favorites, the Bay Reps.
And your thoughts on Bay Reps throughout the season? You know, we've seen them at the North-South Showcase. We've seen them down in Trenton. This could be that team that could, you know, obviously we'll preview the next game, but, you know, who they could play, but can they make it to USA?
I know they were one of my picks, and you know what? You've seen the steady progression of the Bay Reps the last couple years. I think last year they were a team that, you know, they're kind of like knocking like that.
Yeah.
And this year it's more,
Yeah.
you know, they're banging a little bit harder. I think there's some firepower there. Obviously, there's top talent.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to say it again. I like Lucas. He was on our list. I really like Boynton Fisher. I think it's like a 1A, 1B type of situation as opposed to a 1 and 2. You know, there are a lot of pieces to like on the team. I personally, one man's opinion, I think they're going to end up at USA Hockey Arena.
And we both picked the Bay Reps to win that game. And the winner of that game will play the Region 20 between Alpena and Gladwin. You know, Alpena recently won their 900, game as a program. And Gladwin, the Flying G's.
Yeah, you know, we talked about Gladwin a little bit last week, and, you know, one of the guys that we mentioned, this Seeger, well, he picked up right where he left off. He had 2 goals and an assist, 3 points. Their goaltender had 29 saves. Garrett Hamp, you might remember him from Alpena. I got a chance to see him a couple times this year. He had a monster year, 23 goals, 26 assists, 49 points. And again, Johnny, this goes back to something you've probably heard me say this a dozen times over the past few years. When you get to this point in the season, you have to stop talking about being a young team.
Yep.
Because these guys have a full season under their belt now. You know, they're young in stature only. They're young based on, you know, the SO behind their name and sometimes the FR behind their name, freshman and sophomore. But these guys have been there, done that, and they're not young players anymore. So, keep an eye on Alpena. I think, you know, I know I've said the next couple of years is going to be interesting, but these young guys, the way they've been playing down the stretch, it'll be fun. Yeah,
we both picked Alpena to win that game, and we head on over to the west side, Region 21. This one's going to be a dandy tonight. East Grand Rapids taking on Grand Rapids Catholic Central at Southside Ice Arena.
Well, EGR is another survive and advance. I think so many people, yours truly included, just had them on the quick path to USA Hockey Arena. And maybe, you know, this scare is going to get them to kick their game up a notch. We loved Millman when we did that game. I think Robbie actually gave him some rock and rye after the game. McKeegan's a heck of a good player. Joe Green, their goaltender, has to be big. You know,
Joe Green?
That's exactly it. He's got to be big in net. This is going to be a huge test. GRCC, we talk so much about Goheen, rightfully so. He's been on our list since the first week of December, but Mulvey, Outwater, 2 goals apiece in that playoff game. You got a guy in Coach Slobodnik who is one of the best in the state, so this is not a gimme for sure.
And we both picked East Grand Rapids to win this game. And how about out in Chelsea, Region 22, Flint Powers taking on Orchard Lake St. Mary's. They met a few weeks ago. Orchard Lake St. Mary's won 5-4 in overtime. What do you see in this game?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I know I've been saying this for a while, but I know Travis Perry, and he's probably watching, smiling right now.
And he's hopefully he's not texting this time because I read his text last week.
He's kind of going like this right now. Shh, shh. Yeah, remember us? We won the championship. Yeah, they had all those losses, but they've been able to, certainly keep the reserves coming in. Sly with the Hattie. Of course, you saw it earlier. Aiden Cook with the winner.
And this is highlights of their game a few weeks ago.
Yeah, for OLSM, Kelly had a couple. Mason Shea got the win. This is a good OLSM team. And unfortunately for OLSM, I think this year, which Eaglet team are you going to get? They've been so up and down. There have been times where they looked like one of the best in the state. There are times where, you kind of dropped them back just outside the top 10. So, the key right now, John, is to play your best hockey this time of season. Are the Eaglets up to the task? And I think they're going to have to do it to knock off Flint Powers.
And who do you had in that game?
I had Orchard Lake St. Mary's. I did. That's a 50-50 game, though.
Yep.
That's one I won't be surprised at all if Powers ends up winning.
Yep, and I have Flint Powers winning that game. I have Orchard Lake St. Mary's as a sleeper to make it to the Final Four in the Division III playoffs. And Region 23, we haven't really talked much about Liggett this year. They've been an up-and-coming team throughout the season. They're taking on Cranbrook tonight at Cranbrook.
Maxim Johns is a guy I know that we've talked about in the past. He's their goaltender, and he's capable of certainly stealing a game. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Gary Stacy had a nice year, 12 goals, 18 assists, 30 points. This Cranbrook team, John, I was just saying a couple minutes ago, the key is to be playing your best hockey at the right time. And I think this Cranbrook team has kind of gotten into that mode. Certainly they're playing better than they were the last couple months. And we saw it, start to come together a little bit when we did their game. Timko, who I think got some rock and rye from Robbie, and Goldstein had 3 points each in their playoff game. You have two capable goaltenders. I think Loisel got the start in the last game. I won't be surprised at all if Dudler doesn't get the start in this one, but I like the Cranes. I like the Cranes a lot. That was kind of like my, I don't know. That was the pick where I could sit back and say, you know what, I'm going to go with somebody different right now, and it was the Cranes.
Yeah, and I have Liggett taking down Cranbrook, but like I said, this is one of those 50-50 games. It's one of those games, too, like we might see on our phones later on, whoa, Liggett won, or whoa, Cranbrook won, or that game's in 4 overtimes.
Wouldn't surprise me. I had Cranbrook going to Final Four, and I'm going to stick with it, but you're right. It comes back to goaltending again. Man, if Johns can step up big, it's probably going to be Dudler. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. I didn't ask Coach LaFontaine. I think he has more pressing issues right now, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
The winner of that game plays the game of Region 24. Guess what? The first time we're going to talk about Downriver.
I love it.
Downriver. Gotta love it.
Johnny loves to talk about Downriver. There's no doubt about that. And you know what? These are teams that deserve to be talked about.
And it's going to be Grosse Ile taking on Riverview Gabriel Richard. The game will be at 6 o'clock at the Birmingham Ice Arena.
We've had him
far from Downriver.
Yeah, we've had him in the rankings. I mean, Grosse Ile for most of the season, and RGR, they got her going as the season is Ricky's going to do. Obviously it starts with Fisher Gurney when you're talking about Grosse Ile. He picked up right where he left off. How about his playoff game? 3 goals, 3 assists. Is that any good?
Yeah. Over 80 points on the season.
Yeah, I think Hubler. Is it Hubler?
Yep.
Hubler.
Hubler.
He had 5 points. So nice to see your boys respond like that. RGR, the veteran Rainey and Net. I think so much of what they want to do starts with how well Ryan Rainey's going.
He's the 13-year senior?
He is.
Yeah, he's right there. Yeah, look at him.
Kind of like those Iowa football players. I think Ryan Rainey's he's a 13-year senior. Yeah. Venturini up front. That's a dangerous team. Ricky's got them playing the right way. That should be a dandy, no doubt.
So who do we got? I have Riverview Gabriel Richard winning this game.
I have Riverview Gabriel Richard as well. They just played so well down the stretch. I think
it's like 14-1-1 in the last 15, 16 games.
Yeah, it's been incredible. They got her going, and don't be surprised at all if that isn't a team that finds its way back at USA again.
Yeah. Exactly. So that is it for Division 3. We're going to go to Rock and Rye Robbie. Has there been any comments so far on Division 3 or any other questions for us?
None that you guys haven't covered. However, Patrick Julian answered the question. He said he's goal judging tonight, Trenton versus Lenawee United game at Kennedy and Trenton. He says, however, he wants to give a special shout-out to RGR. Go get 'em, guys.
Yeah. Great fan base, great people. Love going down there. There's no doubt about that. And I know Johnny loves talking about him.
Yes, exactly. That's why he went for the wink. Anyways, let's go to Division 2. We'll start in Region 9. Traverse City Central taking on Midland. This game will be at the Midland Civic Center tonight.
Batch was big in their game. He had a 4-point night for the Trojans. Knapp was solid in net. Hey, I'm going to tell you, Coach Witt has done a fantastic job. He really has. He is a good one. Sanborn led the way. 19 of 20, big win over Dow. You know that means a heck of a lot to them. This is going to be a battle. There's no doubt about that. Another 50-50 game, John. I'm serious. I wouldn't be surprised if that text comes in later and said, hey, wow, Midland won. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and same with Traverse City Central. I have Traverse City Central winning this game. You have TC Central as well?
Yep.
Okay, and the winner of that game will play the Bay City Wolves and Saginaw Heritage. This game will actually be in just under 2 hours at the Dort in Flint.
Yeah, Coach Hunter's going to be out there. He's going to walk out our door and head straight to the Dort. Gunner with 4 goals.
Yep.
He's going to pace the way. There's a reason why he's been on the radar the last couple of years. He keeps showing it. Nash Leonard with 26 saves. Heritage, ho-hum, this is what they do at playoff time. This is what J.J. Bamberger does at playoff time. He gets his boys playing the right way. 4-1 win, 3 different guys with 3 points. That really helps out the dangerous Owen Turner. I think during the course of the year, so many people said to me that maybe there was too much on Owen Turner's plate. When you're getting productivity from other guys, it makes a guy like that even more lethal. This should be a dandy up there.
Yeah, you have Heritage winning this game.
I do.
And I have the Bay City Wolves winning this game, but another 50-50 game where we're not going to be surprised like one of the other wins.
No, not at all. It means a lot to Bay City. They lost just a couple weeks ago. They lost in playoff last year. So they'd love to get that monkey off their back.
In Region 11, we have Byron Center taking on Matawan tonight. This is an 8 o'clock game at the Southside Ice Arena. We have talked in lengths about Byron Center, but credit to Matawan for getting into the regional final.
Yeah, BC, as you mentioned, I mean, when you're talking about the caliber of player that they have, and one of the guys on the list, and another stud in Pratt, and obviously a guy on the wall list, and you've been the prohibitive number 1 in Division II all year, but I got a chance to see Matawan a couple weeks ago. Vizol led the way. He had 4 points in the last game. Cordova was solid in net. I thought when I saw them, John, they played structured for a while. They kind of ran out of gas a little bit against Livonia Stevenson at that game that I was at. But you know what? Those are the types of games, John. It's good to play games like that before the playoff starts because it kind of sets the mark for you of what you have to expect once the playoffs are here.
And the winner of that game will play the game in Region 12. This game is actually going to be in less than a couple hours. Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard taking on South Lyon Unified. The game will be played at the Cube.
I like this game a lot, and I'll tell you why I like this game a lot. I think with South Lyon, there's a heck of a lot of firepower. There's, Mulcahy, Temple, a lot of guys that can get the job done. Schamberger in net, but I think for me, when I think of South Lyon, I think of some of that firepower up front. And with Gabriel Richard, it's they want to limit you. That's the way Clint has coached, and Clint's obviously had a lot of success. Hey, shout out to Easton Husak. I mentioned him last week, and he made me look smart. That doesn't happen very often. 3 points. Naughton had 3 points. Kelly had 16 saves. So, to me, John, this is maybe the firepower of South Lyon taking on that defensive prowess, if you will, of the Irish. This should be a dandy.
Yeah, so we didn't get to our pick from Byron Center Matawan. Obviously, we have Byron Center going to the state championship game and winning, so we have them beating Matawan tonight. I have Ann Arbor Father Gabriel Richard winning this game. Do you have FDR as well?
I do not. I took South Lyon. Sorry, Clint. I took South Lyon in this one.
And Barbecue Mike did too.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, he did. I like what they have up front. I think there's more talent with SLU than people want to give them credit for. There's some darn good players out there, no doubt about that.
In Region 13, this game will be played at 5:30. It's the rematch of last year's regional final between Lakeland and Brother Rice.
Well, and Lakeland would love nothing more than to exact some revenge. Scanlon and Grant up front, obviously one of the best in the state with Baker in net. And for Brother Rice, I mean, the train keeps rolling.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. You got to give Coach Chappett and his staff so much credit for getting the boys going this time of year. I know this year hasn't been easy, but it's a team that always seemingly is ready to go at playoff time. Valera's a guy you got to look at. Johnny on the blue line has been phenomenal. This should be a darn good game, John.
Yeah, well, let's go quickly to last year's footage. We'll play the tape for you here in just a second. Obviously, they did play in the regional final. It was close early on, but Brother Rice pulled away. Obviously, you had Rosa and Marone on that team, but I feel like this is going to be a closer game.
Yeah, I think so too. I do. I mean, this Brother Rice team, do they have that transcendent player? I mean, Rosa really was. I mean, Rosa was that guy that just was at a different level than everybody. As good as Valera is, the minute eating and the quality minute that Johnny has, is that going to be able to offset Baker and I think an improved Lakeland squad? I think it will, but it's not going to be easy as well.
The winner of that game will play Port Huron Northern in the quarterfinals because the De La Salle Port Huron Northern game was actually played yesterday. Port Huron Northern with a big upset, 2-1. Port Huron Northern lost to them like 5-2, 6-2 earlier in the year. We'll show some footage of Port Huron Northern from during the season, but man, what a win for the Huskies.
Oh, it's huge. I know in the win against SCS, Smith went off. I think he had 4 points in that one. Will Albert had the Hattie in that victory. But to knock off a DLS team that was very good, that was in everybody's top 10 to 15, that's a huge statement for that program. Make no mistake about it. John, I say it again. You know what? When you play the type of schedule that these teams do in the MIHL, battle-tested means something. It really does. And good for them. Props to the Huskies. That's a huge win for you guys. Way to go.
In Region 15, we thought this was going to be UD Jesuit against Allen Park, but it's going to be UD Jesuit and Livonia Red Stallions because I went to that game late on Saturday. I caught the end of it. Well, caught the end and then 3 more overtimes, but Livonia Red Stallions came out with a 6-5 victory. Now they'll be playing UD Jesuit for the regional championship.
We talked up the Stallions a few weeks ago, and what they were at the beginning of the year when I first saw them and what they are now are two different things. Bryce Brown had a good year. I made a point to mention Quinn Pasco in net as well. That's a big win for them. Unless we forget, I think on Jason Reynolds' watch, they've been able to find a few big wins come playoff time. Who can forget that memorable run they made all the way to the championship a few years back? But certainly they are going to be tested in this one. UDJ, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, the talent is there.
Yep.
We saw it. We saw Carter Kate. We saw
Sharon.
We so Terrio. So many good parts of that team. It was taking a piece of paper, crumbling it, and saying the end of the season wasn't what we wanted. Let's throw it out and start anew. And I think that's what the Cubbies are doing right now.
And the winner of that game will play in Region 16 tonight. It is Trenton taking on Lenawee United. Props to Lenawee United to getting to the regional final. They have a great jersey, kind of like the Rangers, but they're taking on Trenton.
Yeah, Rhett McAuliffe was a guy that had a huge night. I think he went off for 5 points in that game. And, they're another team. I appreciate them posting some of their stuff on Twitter. Their goaltender, Cortizan, had 19 stops. So look at those jerseys. It does. It looks like the Rangers. Is that Adam Graves? Yeah. But no, honestly, Johnny, that's what you like to see. But make no mistake about it, they're going to be up against it. Trenton has been, a lot of people, mine included, top 5 all year. And that's going to be a huge, huge test for them. Yeah, and the winner of that game, it could be UD Jesuit taking on Trenton. And let's talk quick about Trenton. Congratulations to Will Barrett. He just recently committed to play college hockey at U of M Dearborn. They have a wall, person in the wall, Noah Miklos. They have
firepower, not just with Barrett, but they have Shields and Barrett as well, and Bennett.
I have felt that they were the second best team in Division II all year, and I'm not backing away from it. I really, and I think when you get a chance to see them play, there are so many nice pieces with that team, and then you got those guys that every team needs as well, like Boston. Is a guy that you want a guy like that on your team, right?
And let's not forget my cousin Caleb Kidd.
No, so I mean that's where we're at, Johnny. Is this is a team. Sure, there are parts that maybe are getting some of the headlines and everything, but this is a darn good team with a lot of supporting cast pieces that have Trenton is certainly one of the best teams in the state.
And that is it for our preview in Division II. We're going to head back to Robbie. He's about like a quarter away of his rock and ride, but
we're getting there.
We're getting there. But, what's the comments been so far?
So the only question that I have, or that Barnaby 206 has, is he wants you to go a little bit more in depth. How does Lenawee United, what do they need to do if they want to beat Trenton?
Do you have the depth? I hate to sound like a broken record. With this. I like pieces that they have. But I think so often you come into games like this, and, Lord knows John's made fun of me for years about saying this. It's the D word. Do you have the depth? When they keep coming at you in waves, how many times have we seen a team hang for the first two periods, right? Maybe hang for 45 minutes. And then you know what happens? These guys are sucking air on the bench. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. But when you can keep churning out lines and just keep coming, eventually, it catches up to you. There's no doubt about it. There are a lot of things that kill in the game of hockey. Speed kills. I think depth is almost like the slow death in hockey. So, can they go? Is there cardiovascular good? Well, of course, you're talking about 16, 17-year-old kids, but can they hang for 51 minutes with a team like Trenton? That's my biggest question. If they can, you make things interesting, but I've seen it far too many times where you see teams come in and maybe they got two good lines. And think of it this way: if John's top line can match my top line, and my second line can match his second line, but the difference is John's third line is just rolling over me. And by the way, the fourth line is playing even with the softened up first or second line. Something's got to give, and we've seen it far too many times. So, it's a daunting task to be sure, but hey, listen, to get to this point, you got to be doing something right, and the boys in that room believe.
Before we get going to Division I, any other questions for us from the comments section, Robbie?
There is nothing. No, there is not.
All right. Any questions for us? From you, Robbie.
I'm going to save my questions for a little farther on.
Of course you are.
What? Yeah.
Wow, I wonder what school.
Yeah.
No, not Clarkston. No.
All right, so we're going to finish up in Division I. In Region 1, we'll go back on the west side of the state. Muskegon Reese Puffer taking on Sparta tonight.
Yeah, this will be interesting. Hey, how about Reese Puffer? What a good story. I know Stone had 3 points in that game. Van Dyke had 49 stops. Did I read that right? Yeah. Their goaltender had 49 stops, so that's a huge one. Sparta, Caden Gleason picked up where he left off. He had a monster season. He had 2 goals and an assist in that one. Vance had 20 stops. I'm intrigued to see Sparta in this one and a potential matchup against Forest Hills Central. We think. Yeah. Lord knows the Bird Dogs might have something to say about that, but this is an intriguing one to be sure.
I have Sparta winning this game. You have Sparta?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the winner of that game will take on the Battle of the Forest Hills. Forest Hills Central and Forest Hills Northern Eastern.
I mentioned it earlier about the Rangers, but I think it bears repeating. Survive and advance. It doesn't matter how it happened. Nobody will remember, oh my gosh, I can't believe you got taken to overtime. Doesn't matter.
You won the game.
You won the game. Milok with a couple assists.
One of the 85 Miloks.
Yes. Nemers had 20 stops, and obviously you get an overtime winner and you set off the celebration, and it's pretty cool to watch that celebration as well. The Bird Dogs 3 players put up up 2 points in their W. Howe was solid in net by all accounts. I think it was 25 stops in that one. So, hey, listen, like you said, it's a battle of the Forest Hills. We watch these two teams go like this many, many times. It doesn't matter what coaches are there. Coach Bissett's been there for a while, but even when Coach Zaschek was there, we watched those teams go like that. So, Coach McSween knows that, and this should be a dandy anytime those two get together.
And in Region 3, we are heading to Michigan State University at the Mud Ice Arena for the game between Hull and the East Side Stars.
What a great story. I'm going to say it again for the East Side Stars who had their heart broken last year. We were following them. The one thing that you have to remember with the Stars is, the last couple of years, take a look at what their goaltenders have done. I know Reed this year, 175 goals against, 935 save percentage. Monahan, 13 goals, 25 assists, 38 points. So, you know what? That's called progression. Last year, they had their heart broken in 52 overtimes. This time, it was that team that was ready to do the heartbreaking, but certainly a tough test for them, Johnny.
And then what's your thoughts on Hull? Can they make it to the quarterfinals?
Yes, absolutely. I have liked this team all year. One of the things that you have to remember, okay, at the beginning of the year, we were talking about, a lot of familiar names up front. But it's the guys that step up during the course of the season that maybe, you didn't realize. Marco Wolf is a guy, number 24. I've liked his game. Storos is a heck of a player.
Andrew Clay has stepped up his game.
He sure, but Johnny, my point is those are names that we kind of knew about going into the game. Into the year, we didn't know a lot about a guy like Marco Wolf. And so to watch him go like this during the course of the season, I think it's made Highlanders that much more dangerous.
So we have Hull winning this game?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Region 4, we believe this is probably the best regional final probably in any of the divisions tonight. Heartland taking on Clarkson. It will be out in Flint as well at 7:30.
Well, I would love to clone myself. There's no doubt about that. Listen, I'm going to say the same thing. I was at that game last year when these two teams got together.
It was like 5-0, 5-1.
It was 5. It just seemed like it was 5-0 so quick. It was kind of shock and awe. I don't expect that. Clarkson is taking the next step, and guys like Wade and Croston are a year older. And John, it's a progression. I give Clarkson all the credit in the world because now they've become one of the usual suspects. They've been a mainstay in the top 10 all year. Yep. I make no mistake about that. And these guys remember, the guys that were part of it, they remember how abruptly their season ended last year at the hands of Heartland. Yeah. I love this Heartland team. Yeah. I do. I've talked about it all year. There is not a team in the state that moves the puck as well as this team.
I have had coaches that said, when they're watching them play, it's like, wow.
I stand by it. I've had coaches walk up to me and go, boy, I couldn't agree with you more. But thank you for that. I love this team. There are also questions about this team. You know what you got in a guy like Costomo. I think you got one of the most complete players anywhere. I'm serious. What are you going to get out of goal? Well, do they have, if this turns into a track meet, do they have the firepower to keep up in a track meet? This one's really, really, really intriguing.
And who you got?
Heartland by a goal.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be like last year. No. This one screams 4-3 to me. But again, you know what? And I'm not saying this because Rock and Rye Robbie's sitting 10 feet to me. Yeah. Would I be shocked? Would I be shocked if your Clarkson boys won this one? No, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
No.
Coach Hunter is saying that that's his upset pick. He said that he thinks Heartland is vulnerable versus Clarkston.
Well, if it gets into a track meet, look out. I don't know if they have the scoring up front to get into that type of game. Anything more than 4-3 in my mind, that's advantage Clarkston.
Yeah. I have Heartland winning this game, like a 3-2, 4-3 kind of game. But at the same, this is another one that if Clarkson wins, it's not shocking.
No, 50-50.
Yeah, a lot of 50-50 games today.
And that's what you want. And again, it goes to show people the product in this state. Really, it's gotten so much better each and every year.
Yeah. In Region 5, we head to the east side of the state. Romeo is taking on Chippewa Valley United, the Battle of the MAC.
No, it's huge. We showed Staskowski earlier. Kid's a stud.
Yeah.
Okay. When we're preparing our list for next year, this is a name that I think is going to come up on everybody's tongue. Give him credit. He scores both last week, including that overtime winner. Romeo's been the class out there all year. John, I had him on the rankings early, then I took him off, and they earned their way back on late. Evangelista's a heck of a player.
Goalie's playing
I've
well.
heard nothing but good things about Cyrus. So in net. So this is going to be an interesting game. You know, you have a kid right now that's kind of playing on a different level on one side, and you got a goalie on the other side that a lot of people are saying, hey, maybe this guy's getting overlooked. So that's one of those strength versus strength things. Like, you know, we were talking about earlier with South Lyon and Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard. That's a strength on strength thing. Those things kind of intrigue me.
Yeah, this is another 50-50 game. I have Romeo winning this game. What do you got?
I have Romeo as well. I think this screams 1-goal game.
Yep.
It screams 1-goal game.
I think overtime. I think this one's going to go to overtime with Romeo, pulling it out.
All right, Bucci. Well, I think that's we could have the overtime challenge with that, and that would be great if you call your shot there. Yeah. That's cool.
In Region 6, the winner of Romeo Chippewa Valley will play the winner of, in Region 6, Detroit Catholic Central and the M1 Griffins. This will be played in M1 Griffins home ice at Lindell.
Charlie Price is a guy. I'm going to go kid. All right.
Okay.
I think Charlie Price will be on our list next year for top 10 players. I think he's in that 10 to 20 range right now. He is a heck of a player, a dangerous player. Remember that name, and I think CC's going to find out about him tonight. Butler's been solid in net, but I don't know what else to tell you. Okay, John, here you go. You can laugh at me and poke fun at me. There's that depth of CC again.
The D word.
The D word. They are deeper than ever. They really are up front, and
There's been years that we said this team has the most depth. Then the next year.
I think there's a difference, though, John. I think maybe in the past we had conversations about, is this the best CC team or is that the best CC team? I think anybody who's watched Catholic Central,
who scored that goal there?
I know that kid.
Yeah,
I think anybody that has watched CC, and I'll be interested to talk to Coach Kalanicky about this at the end of the year. I think anybody that has watched CC over the years will agree with me. This is the deepest they've been. Yeah. Again, I want to caution people. I'm not saying the best. I'm not.
Yeah.
In terms of depth up front.
Yep.
This is the deepest. There's no doubt in my mind, zero zilch. I think it's unarguable. I've had a lot of other people agree with me there, some of them begrudgingly. But this is really turned into a situation where I think we've seen that CC depth. And, we were talking about this earlier. Robbie, somebody asked, I think it was one of the Lenaway people asked, what are they? This is the same thing that I'm talking about. If M1 wants to hang in this game, okay? They come at you in waves. They just keep coming. They keep coming, and they wear down the best of teams that have 3 or 4 good lines. As much as Coach Fox and M1 has stepped up, and he's doing a good job getting players and developing them, just too much Shamrocks.
Yep, I have Detroit Catholic Central winning that game, so it will be Detroit Catholic Central taking on Romeo in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, that'll be intriguing, Is Cyrus the type of guy, if they win the game, is he the type of guy that can cast a spell and maybe pull that upset? We'll wait and see.
In Region 7, we have Brighton taking on Northville. This game will be at the Kensington Valley Ice House tonight. Battle of the KLA.
2 incredibly dangerous teams, and we already know about Brighton, right? We know that they've been a top 5 team pretty much all year. We know about, their version of the Big Three. My opinion, I know I've been talking this up for a few weeks and more people are agreeing with me. I think it should be the Big Four. You should throw Watkins out there as well. No doubt about that. This is a team that I think could give anybody a go this year. I don't think enough is being said about Northville.
No.
I don't. I'm
Could
sorry.
Could this be the game that, we saved the question for early, later in the show? Could this be that game where it's like, hey, Northville beat Brighton 3-2? And
No.
But
listen, with that being said, okay, what you want out of your team is progression, okay? And I've had people, and I don't hear it too much anymore, I've had Northville pretty high in the rankings all year.
Yeah, I've had people that say, why is Northville ranked that high?
100%. And you know what? It's funny, the last few weeks, I haven't heard from those.
Oh yeah, they've been awfully quiet.
I haven't heard. I haven't heard from one of them. It's a really good team that is playing the right way. Do they have the goaltending? That's the big question with Brighton. If Brighton had a goalie that maybe evoked more confidence out of me, they're not bad guys, but you know what? You're taking on one of the best in the state right there.
Our defending wall winner.
Right. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. I've watched this kid put a spell on teams for 3 years
And then we're talking about Watkins here, and you got other scoring.
He's phenomenal.
And underclassmen that's stepping up for them.
He's phenomenal. And that's what I'm talking about. It's no disrespect against the guys that they have, as I've seen Northville a lot this year. But do you have a guy that can match him? I'm not saying outplay him, but match him. I'm not sure that they do. But I like this Northville team a lot. But this Brighton team's a wagon right now. I'm going to say Cam Duffney's just at a different level right now. I think those guys remember what happened last year, and it stuck with them for a year. And at least based on what I saw so far in the playoff, everybody's kind of elevated their game.
You got Brighton. I got Brighton winning this game. And the winner of that game will play the Region 8 regional final between Salem and Livonia Stevenson. I'm assuming you're going to that one tonight.
I am. I'm going to be heading over
Shocker.
there.
Got you back.
He'd been waiting to use that, right?
Yeah. Where else would you rather be on a Wednesday night at 6 o'clock at Livonia?
I was, I missed their game last week, though. Unlike you. You wouldn't miss a downriver game. But listen, all jokes aside, all right, so we've used this term a lot, right? 50-50. I think this is the poster child for 50-50. Yep. I would not be shocked at all if the Rocks won this game. I wouldn't. Zero, zilch, nada. I like Salem. This is another team that maybe the regular season didn't turn out to be the way that they thought it would, but they have a chance for redemption. I think Patel might be back tonight. That would be huge for him. I've liked that kid. I've talked him up on the show for the last year. Chapit is a guy that has put up huge numbers. I was at that game at Salem like last month or whatever, where it looked like Stevenson was in control, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and like, well, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Well, and that's what Salem can do to you. You know, for Stevenson, this is a team that, we talk about young players. Well, they're not young players anymore. No. Much has been made about one senior. Well, so what? At this point in time in the season, all these guys have experience under their belt. And, certainly playing for a guy like Coach Mitchell, they're going to be ready. They're going to play their system. They're going to want to come in with a bunch of structure. I'm going to say it again. I really like that sophomore, Strobel. I think that's a guy that you're going to want to keep an eye on over the next couple of years. Questions in goal for both these teams. And I think there are two teams that in the past, in particular Stevenson, but doesn't it seem like Stevenson always has that guy?
Yep.
That guy that can put a spell on you. I think there are questions for both of these teams right now, and these goaltenders can answer those questions. Whoever, puts on a show tonight, you're going to change the entire script in regards to how people felt about you and certainly what your chances might be moving forward.
Yeah. Like we've been saying throughout the show, it's been a 50-50 games. I have Salem winning this game. You have the Spartans winning.
I do have Stevenson winning this game.
And then it could be a KLAA Division I quarterfinal against Brighton.
Brighton's got too much. I don't care if it's Salem, if it's Stevenson. I think Brighton's got too much. I think Brighton will be back in the championship game again. Brighton has been all year, make no mistake about it, in the second best conference in hockey. They have been the class all year long. Yep. Make no mistake about it. Heartland, Howell after that. In my opinion, I think Northville can slide in maybe right after Howell. But Brighton, by far, has been the class in what I think is the second best conference in high school hockey.
It's going to be exciting times here tonight and tomorrow as well. And before we close out the show, let's go back to Rock and Rye Robbie. Have you heard from Cheryl today?
No, have not heard from Cheryl.
Cheryl from Lincoln Park?
Cheryl from Lincoln Park I'm being currently ghosted.
Oh, where's the
what a shocker there,
never
huh?
Telling that story. It's never. If that's what you were about to ask me, that story will never be repeated ever. No. But no,
it's turned into a folks tale here.
Like an urban
It'll be a legend.
Yeah, like
a legend.
An urban
like one
legend.
day we'll look back on our days here and say, "Well, do you remember that
after
story?"
Dark, right?
There we go. There we go.
So, what? Any comments before we go?
Well, the one comment I would like to address is somebody said that Brighton has about a 10% chance to beat them and them being CC. What would you guys say is the chance that maybe Brighton or anybody else has against CC for this state title?
I don't think, in my mind, I don't think there's any doubt. And I said this last week, and I'll repeat it again. If one team could beat Catholic Central, it's Brighton. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I hate to put it at percentage, but 33%. I think everything would have to go right. I really do. I think you'd have to have Levi have the type of performance like he did against Heartland last year.
Is it going to be like something where, like, against CC, I've been like saying, like, remember like with Brother Rice Lacrosse, when Brother Rice Lacrosse had that amazing winning streak for like, it seemed like for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like the trick for them is you got to get up on them in order, and then hold it. With CC, do you have to get up like 1 or 2 goals and then just hope your goalie just...
John, I think that's a great point that you bring up because, when they beat them, what was that, 17 or 18? All the years run together.
They got the lead and they
got the lead. And you could see, like, CC was kind of off kilter and they really did a good job of taking away the middle of the ice. That was, I remember I was watching next
Oh, yeah, the Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I kept looking at John going, watch the middle of the ice. They're taking it away. And at that... that particular year, I think Catholic Central really struggled with that. And, they made their adjustments and kind of came back in the third, but it was too little too late. Having Watkins playing, I cannot stress the importance of that young man. And for anybody out there, if you haven't seen him yet, number 7 is phenomenal.
When you were talking about, I'm sorry to interrupt. So when you were talking about Charlie Price for next year's top 10, so you're making a point.
Oh, he'll be on.
Yeah, he'll be on.
And anybody, listen, when we're doing the list and somebody says, I'm not sure about Watkins, I'll just dismiss
you have veto?
I'll dismiss their opinion. He's a tremendous player. He really is. I hate to use this term because I don't want it to be disrespectful to the guys that have been there. I think in a certain regard, he's a straw that stirs the drink right now for Brighton. So much of what they want to accomplish can be started in their own zone, and the way that kid can go lead a rush and get back on a rush, I think it's huge right now, and it's made Brighton infinitely more dangerous than they were last year.
And he didn't play in that first meeting against CC. At that time, Brighton was dealing with a lot of injuries. They had a lot of penalties in games that were giving up a lot of power play goals. They have, they stayed disciplined throughout this stretch here.
Well, and as good as they've been, they're sick and dog tired of losing to Catholic Central. This group that has been together for a while has suffered some big losses. But I'm going to say it again. It's going to take a Herculean effort to knock off that Catholic Central team. It really is.
All right. So, Robbie, we saved the question earlier in the show, like what team could cause chaos tonight? That one game that's like, wow, we did not expect that one, just like last night with Port Huron Northern and DeLaSalle. Port Huron Northern beating DeLaSalle.
GRCC. To me, GRCC. And again, I'll go back to a goaltender. I think everybody, John, and the reason that's no disrespect to the Cougars, I think everybody had EGR going to the finals, right? Yep. Going to the Final Four. Again, maybe I'm putting too much of a premium on this, but I don't think you can. When you have that guy in net, it is such a huge advantage. And Goheen is a guy that can still 2 points away from you, or in this case, a W away from you. So I think GRCC could ruin a lot of brackets tonight. If Goheen can play the way he's capable of, I think they can.
I think with mine, let's see. I could see Grosse Ile. Pulling off the upset. They're, from what I saw on Friday.
Do you know where Grosse Ile's from?
Yeah, Grosse Ile is
down river, ladies and gentlemen. Down river.
Let me tell you guys something. So, it is downriver, but some people in downriver is like, well, Grosse Ile doesn't count. They're on their own island.
You don't own it, really?
No, I do not own it.
Wow.
Well.
No, you know what? I've liked what Grosse Ile has done for 2 years. There's a reason why I've had them in the rankings. Listen, when you run roughshod over your conference the way they have the last couple of years, you deserve to give them a bunch of love, and they deserve every bit of love that they've been getting. So, John, that could be a huge upset. Make no mistake about it.
Or even like Lakeland over Brother Rice. That could be a bracket buster tonight.
I think a lot of people, yours truly included, I had Brother Rice going through again, but hey, same thing. When you got a goalie, Baker's a pretty darn good one. Anything can happen.
Any other questions or comments before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I'll give you guys
just
one.
from you.
Yeah, I'll give you guys one. Okay, so
is
let's
it about
say-
your Wolves?
No, that's not about my.
Wolverines, like he called it last week.
Yeah, how embarrassing was that? How embarrassing was that?
Yeah.
I think I should be shunned by everyone in Clarkson for that.
Well,
Anyways,
you're in the ballpark.
You have a high school hockey, or you have a hockey fan walk up to either one of you and say, "Hey, I haven't watched high school hockey here in the state of Michigan, but we got the playoffs going on, right? And this is this week specifically. What game should I go to? Distance doesn't matter, none of that. What would you guys say to showcase what high school hockey is like here in the state of Michigan?"
That's a great question.
Is it a dandy one?
he's,
Can we add that to the dandy count? Is that a dandy
question?
question?
I'll start with if Hancock was healthy, I would say Houghton and Hancock.
Yeah.
I think missing such a key component tonight is going to be huge. I wish them all the luck, and you boys can all make fun of me if you guys find a way to knock off Houghton. Boy, John, that's a great. There are so many. It'd be hard to name one.
Heartland Clarkston.
Yeah, Heartland Clarkson would probably. Yeah, I'll go with that one. See, you know what he did there? He's such a weasel.
Shout
I
out.
see what
Shout
you did
out
there,
to
you
boys
little
back home.
You're a weasel. No, that's probably.
Or seeing like a rivalry game between like the Forest Hills.
Yeah, that's
maybe one time we go out to the west side.
Listen, Salem Stevenson.
Yep.
At the risk of you guys making fun of me,
Yeah.
Salem Stevenson. You know that.
What high school you went to?
Livonia Stevenson. Go Spartans. But no, really. All jokes aside, it is that's an evenly matchup. Two teams out of the KLA. You're going to have a bunch of people in the arena because Plymouth's right next door. I would want people to see the quality, and I think that's why Heartland and Clarkson. I mean, you're talking about some of the best players in the state, and I'll say again, I am fascinated watching Heartland move the puck. A high school team's not supposed to move the puck that well. No. They aren't. There are a lot of junior teams who don't move the puck that well. They are. It is fascinating to watch them move the puck. And I would want people to go to a place where, there are a lot of fans there, hometown teams, whether it be downriver, whether it be Livonia area, whether it be Brighton, whether it be Clarkson, where there's a lot of hometown, fans there and fans for both teams, so they can see not only the great representation on the ice, but, to me, see the ambiance. The ambiance is so important in regards to this experience. Yep. And as a coach told me this week, enjoy the ride. Yep. That's the beauty of this is enjoy the ride, because you're not going to get many more times like this.
And I got one more. Like if someone had to don't care how far it had to go. I think Flint Powers and Orchard Lake St. Mary's. That's like a state championship game in the regional finals. Yeah,
that's a great one. I think that's a fantastic one. And somebody that we know from the CVU family said CVU and Romeo. Yeah. I got that. I understand that. But no, I mean, hey, listen, the MAC is another one of those places. Like, okay, there's good hockey being played out there. Yeah. And I've had this
Don't sleep on the MAC. Don't sleep on the MAC.
I've had this conversation with a lot of coaches about that. It's one thing to talk about, having good hockey out there, but when you really make your noise is when you advance one of these teams and then you get an opportunity to take on a behemoth. And my, oh my, if you can knock off a behemoth, they have no choice but to show you the love and give you the flowers that you deserve. And so, unfortunately, that's the only way that it can happen. But so many of the teams that we talk about here tonight, John, are teams that have done that. Yep. That, at one point we're here, that's not that long ago, Heartland. Yep. Oh, Coochie Coo, what a cute little story. Heartland made it to the finals.
And how many times they won now?
Oh, my goodness, they came so close. And they kind of became the team to beat in Division II for a while. Yeah. So,
and that could be Byron Center now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Byron Center for many years to come, John. I agree with you.
All right, so that is it for we got one more. Oh, no.
I think this is a perfect way to send it off.
I was going to wrap it up, but Robbie's like, nope, we got one more.
This is a perfect way to send it off. Patrick Julian wants to let everyone know that he is watching this on his big screen TV, so I think we should all wave to Patrick's house.
The coach. How you doing, buddy?
The coach. So, good luck to all the teams in the regionals tonight and tomorrow between Marquette and the Sioux. This weekend is going to be very exciting with the quarterfinals. And then next week, USA Hockey Arena.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah, it's over. It's going to be
You
over.
just brought Marquette Sioux's another one.
Yeah.
You want to go to a game? Go to Marquette Sioux.
Yeah.
That's another great one with fired up fan bases. But I get depressed when you start talking about the season being over, man. Don't.
I know.
Don't get that.
I'm always a party pooper.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Nope. Stop it, Robbie. Stop it.
And on that note, I think it's time to go find John Watson and snake some.
Oh, yeah. Where's that beef jerky? Where's that beef jerky that he provided you before the show?
Well, he hid it, so I can have the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. Before we go out, we'll just let you know, if you guys are wondering about Coach's Corner, I'm going to be interviewing a coach after the regional finals, and then we'll have our Warrior Player of the Year and Wall update on our social media pages over the weekend. And then just quickly on that, we're going to be freezing our top 10.
Yeah, and
No, we're not. We already froze the top 10. We're going to be making our Final Fours.
We're going to have to do that, and that's going to be an arduous choice. But again, follow the criteria.
Yeah.
I think the criteria will certainly show that, and we will see you at the rink.
All right, so that is it for State Champs Hockey Time. We'll see you guys next week. Hold on.
Bring
John,
that
here's your
jerky.
chance.
Bring
Here's your
that
chance.
jerky.
Brings that beef jerky.
You can slide it in. Don't
Come
worry.
on.
Nobody's watching, John.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah, exactly. So there, Kevin, cut to him eating right now.
All right, I'll see you guys.
Yep, see ya.
See you at the rink.
State Champs Hockey Time is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. The future of education begins at ltu.edu. State Champs Hockey Time is also presented by Alta Equipment, Michigan's #1 construction equipment provider, proudly representing the industry's top brands. Get the right equipment for your project every time with Alta Equipment. Warrior Hockey is proud to support Michigan High School Hockey Player and Goalie of the Year awards. Warrior Hockey is made for this. The Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, celebrating the 50th anniversary of high school hockey in Michigan. For schedule, scores, and standings, go to the hub, mihshockeyhub.com. The Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. And Michigan Army National Guard, proud sponsor of the Michigan High School Athletic Association.